Okay, midweek here with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy in conjunction with our good friends at Yellowhammer News. I'm John Longshore. He's Barry McKnight. I finally got the pointer going the right way.
Yeah, I've got
TV is opposite, I found out.
I've got a spot on my wall that I have marked that I can always point to that, and that will usually equate to your head. John is in his main studio. I say his main studio. He's got one studio in his house. It's not like
network control
Cowherd or something like that. I'm in my studio in my home in Troy, Alabama. We are 2-3 days away from the start of February. We are 16 days away from Valentine's Day. And we are entering into our fourth week where the New Orleans Saints are still looking for a football coach. We're keeping track of these things here.
Yeah, Mark has already mentioned that on the chat line today, our River Region Straw chat line. I got to tell you, Barry, I went and looked at the candidates or the odds-on favorites. I mean, they got odds on who the next head coach might be. I got to tell you, most of them I'm going, who's this guy? Who? What? Where?
Yep.
And I kind of went, coordinator here, coordinator there, somewhere here. Maybe I'm too caught up in names and the glitz and the flashy lights. But I don't know. Maybe I didn't know who Sean Payton was until they hired him. Maybe I should give these guys a break.
I don't know that you can, place the value of the coach just in the name. But I think it's probably easy to make the assumption, John, that it ain't exactly going to be a massive makeover in New Orleans. They're not like on the crest where when they make the move, John's going to say, oh boy, here we go now. All of these struggles, all of this difficulty, man, that is in the rear view mirror. Whoever the new coach is, he ain't going to be flying into Louis Armstrong Airport and the hundreds of fans screaming, we ballin', baby, we ballin', and then going to be women kissing him on the cheek or anything like that. Basically, maybe an Uber coming in from Metairie, stopping off at Popeyes or something before.
I don't even think a jazz band's going to show up on the tarmac.
Well, remember they had a jazz band in Live and Let Die.
Yeah, they did. It
didn't work out real well for that guy. So.
He said, whose funeral is this? He said, yours.
Yeah.
So, as I said a couple of weeks ago, got an old roster that's overinflated, spending way too much money. So they're spending too much money on old players and no coach and no quarterback for that matter. And in this league, you better have a quarterback. And we saw it in the playoffs. I mean, the teams that advance through the playoffs have the best quarterbacks in the league. And if you don't have one, you're in trouble. So I'm with you. Maybe some of these candidates that I saw some of these odds on really don't want the job. I mean, I hate to go that far, but
they just maybe want the interview for the experience. It's kind of like John back in the day with ESPN. Yeah, I'll talk to you. I'm happy where I am, but it's another day.
Barry, when I knew I was out at ESPN, when I said, "Look, y'all have got to get rid of this fabulous sports babe. She is horrible." And then you could have heard a pin drop.
Some of you old guys out there, you're like, preach. Yeah. What did they call her? The fabulous sports blob. We're rambling here a little bit. I like to get John about the Saints because it doesn't look as though New Orleans is at the crest of the National Football League's excitement right now.
Mark brought it up today. He's a big LSU fan, Saints fan, Louisianian, I believe, and he's interested in it. Mark, I appreciate you keeping up on that for me. I've been keeping tabs on it, but there again, some of these names just aren't bowling me over. And it's also nice to see that a lot of our chatters are really concerned about Bob from Pike Road and Danny from Margaritaville. I mean, I need to look into these guys. I want to make sure they're okay.
The problem isn't, and I know several of them have intimated that it is But I don't think the problem is that they are front runners and bandwagon fans for Alabama. Danny loves to gig Auburn much more than he loves to prop up his own team. He's admitted that before. Bob, of course, disaster on the pasture and all this kind of stuff. A lot of people are saying that it's because they're off the bandwagon because Alabama lost 4 games, and the nondescript, listless loss in the bowl game. Remember? ReliaQuest.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I've already forgotten about that bowl game.
Haven't gotten their footing anymore of superiority or smugness. I don't think it's that at all. I just think, quite frankly, that John and I said something. I say John, probably me, said something, and it hurt their feelings or something like that. And they said, well, I'll show Barry. I'm still, don't get me wrong, they're still watching. The Otis,
yeah.
Chris the Bammer, Ty, all of you people. No, don't worry. I've come to understand, as John has counseled me many years ago. Oh, they're still watching.
Oh, sure they are.
It's just that they, maybe I'll show Barry. I'm not gonna correspond anymore. They're still checking us out.
That comes back from the radio days. We would have callers from time to time. I'm tired of you guys. I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm changing the channel. You guys are terrible.
Take it seriously. I used to, oh man, I'd never say it blatantly on the air because, we've got, hundreds and hundreds of them, but in the background, I think, I wonder what we said. John gave me some good advice. He said, they'll be back.
Sure.
Yeah, of course they're listening.
They're not going anywhere.
Sure enough, that guy who was dog cussing John and saying, I'm never listening to you guys. I'm going to write your general manager and complain about you guys. John's like, hey, knock yourself out. I'm thinking, oh man.
Yeah, there was
they're still listening. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, John, I'm glad to see that Nick Saban learned his lesson and demoted that left guard that you were cussing out. So,
well, I dubbed it John and Barry Anonymous. You got Alcoholics Anonymous and all these other types of groups like that. People that try to quit smoking. It might last for 2 weeks, but you're going to pick that pack back up and light one up. I mean, you're just going to. Your craving's going to get you. Same with that bottle and whatever else it may be that you might have an addiction to. And I'm not saying people were addicted to John and Barry. Well, maybe they were.
Well, maybe they were. Yeah.
But, they come back. So we let them cool down a little bit. Now, sometimes we taunt them and you say things like, there are other radio stations. There are other people you can listen to.
Yeah.
That would really get them. And it was like, are they really saying that? I mean, are they telling me to go listen to somebody else? The gall of those two.
They would go and they would listen to one of the other radio stations in the Montgomery market where we were. And, they'd get up in the morning, same coffee and everything.
Yeah.
And, somebody'd play England Dan and John Ford Coley. I'd really love to see you tonight. And right about
Dave
now,
Mason,
John and Barry.
Why can't we get along?
Yeah, right about now, John and Barry would have Brian Matthews on. I wonder. No. I told you, then all of a sudden, here comes Juice Newton with playing with the Queen of Hearts, and they're having they're giving away tickets to Carmike or something like that for the fifth caller, and they're thinking, man, right about now, Travis Reier. It's just and it lasts what, a day, maybe.
Yeah.
And they'd say,
it's okay.
Oh, I'll come back. I'll listen. I just won't tell them. We know.
It's okay. We get it. Just it's a cooling off period, and Barry, those things kind of happen more when both Auburn and Alabama's athletic programs are really good, and maybe we're on the verge of that. Maybe we're going to get some more of that coming back with the way Hugh Freeze is recruiting and handling the transfer portal, and Kalen DeBoer down at the Senior Bowl yesterday had a press conference talking about some of the things that they missed out on in 24 and the things they're really looking forward to in 25, and the new attitude with the new feeling and the new energy inside the Malmore Athletic Building, that leads me to believe what he's telling you there is, thank God Jalen Milroe's gone. That just could be me. That's just the way I took it, but it could be something totally different. But if these two programs are fighting it out like they used to be back in the good old days, whoo, yeah, that's when it's fun.
Oh yeah, that's when John, he's pounding on the microphones, and can we go? Let's go.
I love it when I can play them against each other. That's when it's fun.
Yeah, John from Wetumpka says the missing guys are gone because they like the sound of their own voices. They're attention addicted and miss the attention. Maybe. I don't know.
You might be onto something there, John. I mean, there's a little theory that some people out there thought they were the stars. But hey, whatever. And I've heard that too.
Well, we have been in the media for many, many years now. We understand trends and we understand, viewership and listenership, and kind of understand a little bit about ratings, although we, never paid a lot of attention to them. Ours are still high, best in the market. Okay, thanks. We have noticed this, and this has been something that John has brought up. The ratings have come out as of yesterday afternoon. The television ratings have come out from the NFL Conference Championship games.
Okay.
The late game was the Bills and the Chiefs.
All right.
For like the fourth time in the last 5 years or fifth in the last 7 or something. It was on CBS Sunday night. Let me backtrack. We mentioned to you 2 weeks ago that the ratings for the Ohio State win over Notre Dame in a Monday night college football national championship game was the most watched college football game of the season, but it was a double-digit drop in viewers from last year. The Ohio State-Notre Dame game almost 2 weeks ago, 22.1 million viewers. Best of the year, but the third lowest audience of the 11 college football playoff title games. All three of the lowest have occurred in the last 5 years. 22.1
Which surprises me because Notre Dame was in the game, but continue, please.
And Ohio State's got 60,000 students, 70 billion fans, everything. Anyway, 22.1 million for college football's ultimate showcase. Chiefs, Bills, CBS, the most watched AFC championship game ever, 57.4 million.
Wow.
57.4 million. John, so just to give you perspective, that's more viewers than you and I get.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's very impressive. Wow. That is.
The Eagles and Commanders were the earlier game. Fox, I believe. Yep. 44.2.
And I
college football 22.1
last night that watched those games last weekend that don't watch a lot of NFL at all, but they watch those. And I think that, the time of year has something to do with it. It's cold across the country. You can't go do anything. I know that's part of it, but it was cold and it was at night when Notre Dame and Ohio State played. I mean, it's and you've done it too. I mean, as we've traveled around this country over the last 30 or 40 years, you go to some of these places, college football doesn't even register. I mean, it's no big deal, particularly in the big markets, the New York, Chicago's, LA's, the big metropolitan areas. College football just doesn't register. And I wonder across the heartland and, the Iowas and Kansases and Nebraskas and Montanas and Colorados, and I get it, there's not as many people there, but they seem to be watching the NFL too. They just don't gravitate toward the college game. And I think it's, it's regional. Obviously, it's huge in the South. It's big in the Midwest and areas. But is it big out west? Is it big up north in the Northeast corridor up in the New England area?
Yeah.
I just don't get the sense that it is. But those numbers, more than double, I mean, that's amazing.
Well, significantly more than double in the case of the Chiefs and Bills game. So when you hear people talking about, hey, How about we put the college football playoff national championship game on the day before the Super Bowl? I'm telling you, they'll get swallowed up, John. You do not want to lock horns with the NFL.
This weekend, and there again, it would be dragging it out, which I'm not in favor of, but there's nothing going on this weekend but a bunch of all-star games and a flag football game down in Orlando. Maybe the college finals should be this weekend, but there again, I can't have it both ways, and I don't want it to drag out into the end of January,
right.
But the NFL is always going to be king, whether you live here in the deep South or not. And why do you think every city in America would love to have an NFL team? I mean, they don't expand very much, and when they do, it's like finding the golden ticket to Willy Wonka. I mean, it is just, I guess, just a civic pride thing, and being associated with a league that is just so popular and so much notoriety and so much big time. I mean, heck, the city of Jacksonville is spending a fortune on a new arena in a riverfront area. They're building a big hotel, entertainment, restaurant district down there, and they are spending a ton in Jacksonville for a small market and a team that's kind of struggled lately, but don't care. We want to be in the NFL.
Yeah, and it has made a huge difference in downtown, in the quality of life around the people, the civic pride and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, nobody's turning down an NFL franchise, just like the television networks are not turning down the playoff games and saying, yeah, can we get a reduction next year? No, they are killing it. Well,
so Barry, when we get back, another way too early poll that I saw. This more a bracket and not a poll, a way too early bracket for the upcoming college football season that piqued my interest. I wanted to touch on that a little bit before we get to the bottom of the hour. And C.J. Duncan from Yellowhammer News will join us as he does each and every Wednesday. And we told you all week, folks, so if you hadn't heard, get ready. Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, is today on Wednesday instead of Thursday. So we'll check in with Rodney at the top of the next hour. He's got a commitment tomorrow morning. So we said, sure, Rodney, we can do it on Wednesday. He'll join us today.
It's another edition of the show, the Simon Says edition of the program. In association with Yellowhammer News, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. It's Longshore and McKnight underway and presented by Bud Light.
Hey, folks, you got to take advantage of the incredible holiday savings at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where they sell America's best-selling truck for 50 years in a row, the F-150. And you can get an F-150 at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP and no payments for 90 days. Hundreds to choose from. Your F-150 is on the lot right now. Also, F-150 Lightnings, $15,000 off MSRP and 0% APR for 72 months. What about the stylish Ford Bronco? Up to $10,000 off MSRP, starting as low as $34,990. And it started it all with the Ford Explorer. You can get one for up to $8,000 off MSRP, as low as $33,900 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. Folks, Stivers Ford is loaded with cars, trucks, and SUVs priced to sell. Stivers Ford, 4000 Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. Okay, welcome back in, everybody. About 20 minutes past the top of the hour here with Longshore and McKnight. Chris the Bammer on our chat line hits us up with something that that caught my attention. He says, have you seen the video of Milroe at Senior Bowl practice? Wow. Chris, I have not seen, I don't watch a lot of practice during the regular season, much less for an all-star game. But what happened? What am I missing here? I'm hearing some overthrows, some underthrows, some one hops. But give me more, Chris. How bad was it?
I'd like to know, because sometimes I think Alabama fans themselves, and he played quarterback at Alabama, kind of overstate things sometimes. I mean, he's made some really good throws in his career at Alabama. He's made some terrible throws. But I don't know. It feels like, Chris, am I wrong, that we are kind of hoping that Milroe flames out in the NFL to, maybe justify some of the Alabama fans' lack of confidence in him and justify their crowing and screaming that you need to get him out of there. You need to put Ty Simpson in there. If he really makes it in the NFL, if he goes Jalen Hurts, are the Chris the Bammers of the world and let me see who Tobias was never a Milroe guy. Are you guys going to finally grudgingly give him some respect? Or is it like, I've never seen anything like it, actively rooting against Milroe? Just kind of justify. See, I told you he wasn't any good. He didn't even make it out of camp or whatever. So
I don't say I'm going to go that far, Barry. I don't want to wish anybody any bad. Like, I hope he proves me wrong. I don't know if I said that over a year ago when I came back from Pasadena and said, Jason, Alabama will not win the national championship with Jalen Milroe at quarterback, which happened. And it didn't take an Einstein to figure that out, even though I did catch a lot of crud for making that statement 14 months ago. But anyway, hope he proves me wrong. I tell you, Jalen Hurts sure did. I didn't think Jalen Hurts would be the type of quarterback that he is, but I will add this little caveat to it. I don't think Jalen Hurts would be as successful if he was the starter at New Orleans, Jacksonville, Cleveland,
Vegas,
or the New York Giants, or Vegas.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be that. He wouldn't be as good. He wouldn't be in the Super Bowl.
Here's the reason why I love it when John brought that up and why he still brings that up. He's meant that as an indictment of the kid. Last year, not this past season, the season before, Jaden Daniels will not win a national championship at LSU. And he didn't. Does that mean he's a terrible quarterback? No. It's just, I love this perspective from some of the Alabama fans out there that I'm here to tell you, Alabama will not win a national championship with Jalen Milroe. Peyton Manning didn't win a national championship. Drew Brees didn't win a national championship. Brady, all those guys. That's what I can tell you. He stinks. They won't win a championship with him. If that's the biggest criticism you've got over him, Barry McKnight will never win a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm just going to tell you. It's like Stephen Wright said, I'd kill for a Nobel Peace Prize.
I mean, they're giving
is that an indictment to say that guy will not win a national championship? You only have one a year, and Will Howard may not be a great NFL quarterback himself, but he's got a natty.
Well, I think you got to explain yourself. You got to give it a little bit more detail of why you wouldn't win a Pulitzer Prize. You just can't make a blanket statement. You'll never win it. Well, why not? And my reasoning was because the offense is so limited. They've got to expand the playbook. They cannot rely strictly on his feet and athletic ability. He's got to be able to throw the ball across the middle of the field. How many times did you see that happen in the 2024 season? Heard crickets. He throws it long, He throws a little short pass out of the backfield, but you never see any shots over the middle of the field. And if you do, they're not often. They're not often at all. So I kind of laid out why I didn't think they could win the national title with Milroe in the 24 season. Of course, we're talking about the 23 season. I get the bowl games mixed up because they're always the next year.
Right.
But I didn't see the improvement. There again, got hot right out of the gate. People figured him out. Boom, done.
Now we get this, and I love this. This is one of our Facebook viewers.
Yep.
And we're, check us out. Longshore and on Facebook, Yellowhammer News, the whole deal. You can watch us on Facebook. We got several viewers. Now, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm pretty naive for a grown man. I admit that, and I don't mind it. But I'm gonna say this guy's full name because we used to prank call people at like the movie theaters. He calls himself Michael Charles Hunt. I'm going to get his full name because, okay. Anyway, Michael Charles Hunt says, "Good morning, guys. From Birmingham, Alabama. And personally, I don't want an NFL football team here in the Magic City. I don't want any kind of attention to be taken away from both Bama and the Auburn Tigers. I like it that the state of Alabama is a state that loves our college football. This is so Longshore-esque. Just my opinion, but I think most would too agree with me. Salute." John, how did he do? That was well phrased, right? Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Until somebody argues or disagrees with you or shows you some numbers that are different, go with it, Michael. Love our viewers in Birmingham. Spread the news, Michael. We appreciate that from up there in the Magic City. You know what, Michael? Coach Bryant didn't want an NFL team in the state of Alabama either for the same reasons. I don't want it taken away from my team. And he might have said something about Auburn, maybe, who knows. But he didn't want it. And there was a time when there was a move and some people made some strides to get Birmingham in the running for an NFL team. I think at one point in time, maybe they were within shouting distance of it, but it never materialized. I'm just not sure economically Birmingham could support an NFL team. Is there enough business? Is there enough Fortune 500 type companies that are going to support an NFL franchise in Birmingham? The money that's needed, the luxury boxes that have to be bought. I mean, where are they going to play? They're not playing at Protective Stadium. That ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Birmingham's days of being an NFL city are over. That ain't ever happening.
That probably, when they had the chance to get the airport that Atlanta ended up getting, is probably because we don't want an airport to take away from the attention that Auburn and Alabama get. I think Bryant was saying, Alabama got a big home game coming up against Tennessee, which back in his day was always at Legion Field. And the fans are ponying up and buying all the tickets and going crazy. And then after a little while, fans would say, I know the Birmingham Vulcans have an NFL game tomorrow at Legion Field. I'll tell you what, I'll lay out of this one. I'm not going to Bama, Tennessee. How about we just plan a big day on Sunday to watch our NFL team take on the Steelers?
And think about it. They're going to think Birmingham in a lot of things, a lot of areas, not just the NFL, kind of got overlooked, missed the boat. I mean, you got a team in Nashville, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Jacksonville. Do we need any other teams in the Deep South? Carolina Panthers have got a team. Do we really need another team in this footprint? Is there enough support? I don't know if people in Birmingham care about the Falcons or not. I know people in Montgomery don't. But yeah, I just don't think Birmingham could support it. You're going to go to Auburn and Tuscaloosa on a Saturday and then go watch the Birmingham, the Stallions, I guess they'd call them the Stallions, go play the Vegas Raiders on Sunday at noon. I don't see that happening.
Theotis says Birmingham got overlooked because of its history. I presume he's talking about the racial history. The fire hoses and Bull Connor has hurt Birmingham's image for years and years and years. I'm surprised Theotis isn't the first one to point out Birmingham ain't even the biggest city in Alabama anymore.
Yeah, where are you, Theotis? You're dropping the ball.
Man. Yep, it's Huntsville. Yeah.
Maybe Montgomery could get an NFL team, Theodis. What do you think about that?
Yeah. What is it? I think Theodis has a pet phrase to use about Montgomery.
Yeah,
Well,
he does.
yeah.
Hey, Barry, here, our reporter in the field has sent me some information, an update on Senior Bowl practice. This is from NFL Rookie Watch. Our friend, a longtime viewer and listener of the program who now lives in Birmingham, sent this to me. Jalen Milroe was reportedly, quote, having an extremely hard time, end quote, standing out at Senior Bowl practice today. Milroe reportedly, quote, struggled, end quote, much of practice throwing INTs, skipping balls, and having issues with accuracy all day long.
No way. Wait a minute. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What? Oh, all right.
At
Okay.
one point, Milroe reportedly missed 8 throws in a row during one-on-one drills. I never did that at Jeff Davis. I mean, at least I hit 1 out of 8. You kidding me?
In drills?
Yeah.
Not even
yeah.
against like live
I
competition
look
or
pretty good. I
something?
look pretty good in drills. I will tell you that, Barry.
They still talk about John at the old Capital City Combine throwing those darts out there. Wait a minute. He missed 8 straight throws when all he's got in front of him is a wide receiver and a token DB out there?
Milroe's performance was reportedly subpar to that of Jackson Dart and Riley Leonard, who competed yesterday. There was no report, Barry, on Milroe's ability to tackle a opponent after throwing an interception. Maybe those drills will be today.
There's no report on Peyton Thorne's performance. There's no report that with Milroe. Look, I'm not defending. I've seen a lot of the same things. But
thank you, honey. My coffee service just arrived.
Very nice. Duck her head in and say hello to everybody. But
she hadn't combed her hair yet.
Well, I don't know if he's not completing a throw to one guy on the entire field with one guy guarding him. I don't know that he's going to be firing darts over the linebacker and run in front of the deep safety on the dead run on a crossing route with 5 defensive linemen breathing down his neck. I
hear you.
That doesn't bode well.
It doesn't. Maybe today will be better. Who knows?
Tomorrow is another day.
Barry, tell me how you feel about this before we go to break. And CJ Duncan's going to join us from Yellowhammer News when we get back. Tell me how you feel about this little wager. So me and Strawboy have a little wager. I said I don't think Jalen Milroe's getting picked in the first round. Much less the 3rd pick overall. I mean, this guy to me looks like a 3rd round pick. I just don't see it. He goes, "Oh yeah, he's getting picked early. Don't you worry." I said, "I tell you what. If he gets picked in the first round, I'll take you to Chuck's and buy dinner. And if he doesn't, you got to take me. What do you think?"
And
so, what do you think? Who's on the best side of that bet?
Okay, so he says you're on.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of names that it ain't helping Milroe. We've said before, I think one of the reasons why they would pick Milroe, besides his athleticism and rocket arm and all that, is the fact that it's not a very good quarterback class. What I'm hearing is that Jackson Dart, everybody is saying, that guy looks pretty darn good. Riley Leonard, same thing.
Yeah.
We could probably win with a guy like, they're saying Leonard is a little Brady-esque. So if you get some of these dark horse quarterbacks that are showing out at the Senior Bowl and at the NFL Combines and at Alabama's Pro Day and all that kind of stuff, that would push Milroe to the 2nd round, but he'll get drafted in the top.
Barry, maybe with Milroe having his former college head coach in attendance at Senior Bowl practice yesterday, maybe that kind of got him a little nervous. Who knows?
Has any of that attention died down yet? It used to be, I didn't mind it. I mean, I know he's there to support his players when Saban went down to the Senior Bowl and everything. What I didn't like was him walking onto the field with those little girls in taffeta dresses throwing rose petals in front of him, and you got the guys without shirts on waving the palm fronds on.
Oh,
them.
yeah.
I thought that was a little bit too much. Is that are they still doing that?
Yeah, I think Freeze was down there too. Now, I don't know if DeBoer helicoptered in and got out in a good-looking, Tom Ford suit like Saban would do. I think he just came in coaching attire. I mean, I always thought Saban, I thought, what's up with the coat and tie here at Senior Bowl practice? But I got to give Saban credit. He always wanted to represent Alabama in a, I don't want to say professional way. I mean, obviously he's going to do that, but he always wore a coat and tie as much as he could. And then he'd change out of it and go to practice in, your normal practice gear. I wonder what it was about Saban that felt like he needed to wear a coat and tie when he was making a personal appearance.
See, and some people would even say that he didn't represent them well on the sidelines when he's screaming at somebody. Channing Crowder had a great story when he played for Saban. He was a linebacker from Florida, played for the Dolphins. Had a great story he was talking about yesterday on a podcast. He's a linebacker. He gave up a third down pass to the running back for a first down, and a little bit later on over on the sidelines, he asked Saban for some reason, "Hey, how's your wife?" And Saban said, "She'd be a lot better if you can cover a bleeping running back on third down." Represented. Anyway, let's take a break.
Yep. CJ Duncan going to join us in about 2 minutes. Running just a tad late today, but no problem. And we'll get with him. Love to get his thoughts about what's going on in the world of sports.
He's from Yellowhammer News. We're supported by Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946. All righty, we got about 22 minutes until the top of the hour. Longshore and McKnight here on the program, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Our friend CJ Duncan from Yellowhammer News joins us each and every Wednesday. He's here with us today. Hey, good morning, CJ. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. Good to be with y'all this morning.
Always good to see you, and good to get your insight on stuff. I wanted to ask this because this has been a part of our conversation already. For so many players, their college career is over. There's Senior Bowl, there's pro days, there's combines. What's going on with them during this time, CJ? What are they hoping for? What are they contending with? What are the clubs looking for?
So usually, during the end of your senior year or if you're a junior, you start to hear from agents, right? And these agents, they're working on your behalf And really, if you're a guy that's probably not going to be in the first round, you're wanting to get in some type of bowl. Like you said, the Senior Bowl, East West Shrine, I think you have the Hula Bowl now, things of that nature. And really, it's just another opportunity to be in front of scouts. And these scouts are there seeing you up close and personal. And then you even have members from each NFL team, staffers who are up running that camp, right? They are the assistants, the running back coaches, the linebacker coaches that are there, and they're basically acting as coaches at these bowl games. And it's just another opportunity for you to show them what you got. You go through these bowl games that you may have. NFLPA also has one as well. My brother played in that one. But yeah, so you go through these bowl games. You're hoping for a combine invite. After the combine invite, you'll have pro day. So you usually have about 3 opportunities to show them what you got, and then you just prepare for the draft.
So when you're there showing them what you got, I mean, you're talking about on-field drills, things of that nature. Are there any times after these kind of Senior Bowl practice deals that you get some kind of one-on-one in a room talking, or is that done later on?
No, absolutely. During the week is the most important part. That's why even in the Senior Bowl, you'll see some guys not even play in the game. They really just wanted that time during the week where they can see you go through drills. They can kind of, you know, test you without testing you in a sense throughout the week where it's going to be very competitive. And then once the game comes around, your agent decides whether or not, he wants you to play in that game, hopefully not getting hurt. So,
Sure.
but you do have time post practice where they'll pull you aside and, they'll talk about your experience in college, or they may even quiz you on something football related, may get you on the board. You never know.
We hear stories all the time about the role that the Wonderlic test plays in grading some of these guys, or in the interviews, well, they'll ask you, if you're a tree, what kind of a tree would you be? Do you have any stories like that, any anecdotal evidence of just what they're trying to get out there, CJ?
I don't have any personal stories, but I think the objective, during this time period when they're testing you on things like that, it's how much can you retain and how much can you put back out or communicate after retaining a ton of information. How do you process? Can you process super well when the bullets are flying? Can you still operate at a high level? And usually those kind of tests are mainly for quarterbacks, but it doesn't hurt you either if you're a different position and you end up doing pretty well.
So let's backtrack a little bit before you get to the point where you are eligible to play in these type of events. And particularly with you, CJ, when the season's over and you're going through that January, February kind of doldrum period, what actually are you doing as a football player to get ready for spring practice, which I guess happens most of the time in March and April?
Sure. Yeah. So, and you're saying if you're still in college?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're still in college, this is probably the worst time of year. Winter workouts. You're usually getting up at 6 a.m. Sometimes probably earlier. I know at Mississippi State they would do theirs at midnight. They're doing something to test you mentally and emotionally while also testing you physically. Because that's what the season's going to be about. Regardless of what's going on, you still have to be able to go and perform. And so this time of year, January, February, you're in winter workouts, and it's about as hard as training it gets during the college year. And so you're being tested, you're outside, and hopefully you're not somewhere that's super cold during this time. But if you are, that's a part of the process, and really you're trying to weed out the guys that are going to be with you to the end, and guys who probably are going to hit that portal or end up transferring because it's too much for them.
I remember reading something back when it happened. It was a big deal. I'm not going to name the guy's name, but he has been an NFL television personality for a while. That was a hot prospect, top 10 prospect. This has been 20 years ago or so, CJ. And he had gotten arrested for some minor offense. And that dropped him 15, 20, 25 spots. And obviously cost him an awful lot of money. Is that kind of a thing overstated? I mean, does that type of a thing I always kind of figured in a jaded way, if you could play, you could play, and they'd overlook a lot of that stuff. That's something that's involved in their whole evaluation process as well, right?
Sure. I still think they do overlook a lot of things. I think depending on, position, once again, they're willing to be more lenient about some things than others. And also depending on how good you are, you get a little bit more rope as well. So I think it depends on who you are. I think every situation is special. In the last several years, we've seen a lot of the Georgia players kind of get some off the field things going on, but still get drafted first round because of their talent. And really what it is they have people, once you're kind of on their radar, they have people following you, and they have people
That's so
that are
funny.
in these that go to these campuses, and they ask the lady that's handing you food every day, or they ask the custodian or whoever it may be, what kind of guy is this? And
How
really
about that?
it's just like any other business investment. You want to be able to trust it, you want to have confidence in it. And if for whatever reason you don't trust that, when you don't have your eyes on that investment, it's going to do something you don't want it to do, then you're a little bit more hesitant about giving that person some money.
CJ, I think with anything in life, I mean, the fit is so important. Do you fit in with this business? Do you fit in with this organization? Do you fit in with this football team? And we've talked about it this week in terms of Jalen Hurts. Got his team to the Super Bowl. Maybe this is unfair, but we're talking about it. I don't believe Jalen Hurts would be the quarterback he is today if he played for the Cleveland Browns, the New Orleans Saints, the Las Vegas Raiders, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's got so much talent around him that it makes him better. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, to me, even in the NFL, the fit is so important. I mean, I think Bryce Young at Carolina, he doesn't have a chance because he just doesn't have the weapons around him that a guy like Jalen Hurts has. What are your thoughts about the fit in the NFL?
I think that's exactly right. And that's why you see some guys end up making it, 2 or 3 years, and then others end up playing for 12. And I do think a lot of it has to do with fit and having somebody in that organization that's willing to beat on the table for you. It's very hard to make it to the NFL. And it's not always based on your talent. It's based on a lot of other factors. And sometimes you just have to get lucky as well. But in Jalen's case, I mean, he's got the number one offensive line in the NFL. You've got a number one receiver in A.J. Brown, who also played at Ole Miss. And it's littered with folks that played at Georgia. And we actually, Oren Burks had a forced fumble from Vanderbilt this past weekend. So you've got SEC guys all throughout that. And then you add someone like Saquon, who will probably be a future Hall of Famer. Really, you just don't want to wreck this Corvette, man. You want to keep it in the road. It's already there for you. Just keep it in the road. And I think that he definitely benefits from that. And I think he also fits in with that city. I think the way that he leads, I think the way that he's kind of so stoic, especially once he gets up to the podium, I think it fits Philly. And so I think he's in a great situation. But, there are a lot of people that would wreck that Corvette. If it was so easy, everybody would do it, right? Yeah. So I do want to give Jalen a little credit. You still have to make those throws to A.J. Brown, because he will go and let you know you did make that throw. You know what I mean? So I will give him credit for being able to be a leader with all those personalities, because all those guys know they're the best too.
Yeah, a lot of egos.
It's got to be frustrating. I imagine for somebody like Josh Allen, who's been so terrific and so compelling and put up so many numbers, it's just his bad luck that he and the Bills come along and peak at the same time that the Kansas City Chiefs do. That game on Sunday, I mean, it's got to be just a headbanger for the Bills, because, golly, they did everything they possibly could to win that game, and they just can't get over the top. Or maybe, CJ, it's something about Kansas City, their mindset in crunch time. What did it come down to in your mind?
Well, I think the difference between Kansas City and a lot of other teams in the NFL is Kansas City goes into games expecting to win, not hoping to win, right? And even in those crunch situations, they don't tighten up. That's the difference. Other teams, they know if Kansas City has the ball with 13 seconds or more, then they're going to win the game, and it causes them to tighten up, and Kansas City does not at all. they know that they've got 15, and 15 always comes through. And so you see that, and unfortunately for Josh Allen, it's almost becoming Brady Manning. It wasn't until later on in Manning's, career that he was able to kind of get over that hump against Brady. And also, it's when Michael Jordan was playing for the Bulls, you got a lot of NBA guys that should have championships, but they couldn't get past Mike. So we're kind of Phil and Tiger Woods. I mean, we've seen this in history where when you got one of those special guys, one of those all-time guys, unfortunately, there are going to be guys that are very talented that don't even end up really getting over that hump. And I mean, you got Joe Burrow's going to have to deal with that, and Lamar Jackson's going to have to deal with that, and you got Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud. These are all guys in the AFC. I'm missing somebody. Justin Herbert, Bo Nix from Auburn is now in the AFC as well. Drake May with New England. I think they'll end up being better down the line, but you still have to face Patrick. Everything has to come through Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. Okay, obviously it's a sign of winning, which is a good thing, CJ, but the athletic director's tired of writing checks, man. They're storming the court at Vanderbilt, cost him a bunch of money. I mean, Barry had the total earlier this week.
$850,000 over the last 4 calendar months, CJ, because of all the winning they're doing.
I had a friend text me about it, and she said, hey, they caught a picture of the AD begging them not to storm the court. I said, let them storm it. Let them storm it. We're the nerd school, right? That's what they call us in the SEC. And so we have to at least act like we like sports. So we need that on TV for recruiting.
Yeah, Mark Byington, the basketball coach, he said, I don't know, let's start a GoFundMe or something, but we got to figure that out.
$850,000. I can't imagine. They said, okay, how much do we budget for Storm and Phil storming this year?
Don't let them fool you. We got it. We got it. The pockets are deep in Nashville. Don't let them fool you.
Yeah. That's what I said. They got it. That's a drop in the bucket.
Right, exactly.
We always get so much great content and so much great reaction from your visits with us, CJ. Thank you very much, as always. And as always, we close by letting you know how much we look forward to getting a chance to see you again.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, guys. I look forward to next week.
Yep, we'll do it. Look forward to it, my man. CJ Duncan with Yellowhammer News joining us here on the program today. Always a great interview. We really appreciate that. And we'll get more in depth with CJ next week as we get closer to Super Bowl 59 from New Orleans. I saw speaking of the Super Bowl, I guess it was during one of the games on Sunday, and I think it was a promotion for New Orleans or the city or maybe one of the sponsors, but Mark Ingram was doing the commercial.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, I mean, he is really good. I mean, you kind of see Mark on, Big Noon Kickoff, and he's kind of, doing his thing and ranting and raving. But I mean, I thought, man, this guy looks incredibly comfortable behind the camera and polished. And I thought, man, this guy might have a future in TV.
I want to say he was in like a Chunky Soup commercial or he's looking in this guy's window and saying, hey, it's game day. You ready? He's great. I mean, he's big fan of his. We got to take a break. Big fan of CJ Duncan. Yellowhammer News brings you or supports and presents Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Heads or tails, kick or receive, with the wind or against the wind. Buy your friend a Bud Light. Buy a stranger a Bud Light. Go to your team's bar. Go to the opposing team's bar. Buy around during the next truck commercial. Buy around during the next talking duck commercial. If you're truly up for whatever this weekend, grab the perfect beer for whatever happens. Crisp, refreshing Bud Light. Make 2 plans and let the NFL coin toss make the call. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
The River Region Straw chat line. Of course, our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox, Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. Coach, he has sent some emails today, Barry.
Ooh, okay. Always look forward to that. We'll start chronologically.
All right.
Longshore and McKnight, gmail.com. He says, good morning, men. May I have a point of privilege to vent about the number of Bama fans complaining about the Kansas City Chiefs getting every call and the league caters to them. Then when asked about Bama getting every call, they're quick to point out that Bama is a blue blood and they bring eyeballs to the TV. Well, don't the Chiefs bring eyeballs? Like 50 million to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That is from Coach. That's
Now, is it
first.
just Alabama fans? Have I not heard any other fans of any other schools complaining about the Chiefs getting preferential treatment from the officials, or is it just Bama fans?
I think that he probably understands if a Murray State football fan complains about him or somebody from Oklahoma State or something.
Yeah.
But Bama fans shouldn't be complaining. That's what he's sensitized to. Bama fans are complaining about
I'm
it?
not sure they got a lot of preferential calls this past season.
Yeah.
Maybe their current head coach doesn't have the cachet or panache as the former coach did with the officials. Yeah. Coach also has another email in our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox.
He says, Barry, ask John, is that text from the same guy, the text that you got from your operative in the field, who was quoting from an article that said he's bouncing everything and struggling and all that. Yeah. He says, Barry asked John, is that text from the same guy that texted him about 3 times that 3-time Super Bowl quarterback Jalen Hurts was not going to make it at Oklahoma? That is from Coach.
Well, is he insinuating that I said Jalen Hurts would not make it at Oklahoma? I don't ever remember saying that. Now, the reason he went to Oklahoma is because he got beat out where he had previously been. So I certainly don't have any problem with him moving on.
He's talking about somebody texting you. But I think of Jalen Hurts a little bit like Bo Nix, although Bo didn't get beat out. I mean, TJ Finley started a game. And, yeah, I hear the JD. There was a ton of people that wanted Finley. Joey Gatewood was a thing for a while.
Forgot about him.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a little insight here. I hope not betraying a confidence. But the former offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Auburn was later the head football coach at Troy. And he and I talked about that. He said Malzahn loved Joey Gatewood. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, he's big and strong and everything, but he was one hop in every throw. I didn't want him. Malzahn had to have him. Thought he was a great RPO guy for the kind of offense. I didn't see it. Yeah. My deal with Jalen Hurts is he went to Oklahoma because he had to play. Saban agreed with it. Yep. Same thing with Bo Nix. He went to Oregon, not because he had to play. I mean, he was a starter at Auburn, but both guys got their degree Bo Nix is an Auburn graduate. Jalen Hurts does have a degree from Alabama. And moving on to both of them, whether it was kind of forced like Jalen or really just, man, I've done everything I can here. I need to start getting ready for the next level like Bo Nix. For both of them, it was the best thing that could have happened to them.
Oh, sure.
I do believe that Jalen Hurts would not be an NFL quarterback if he hadn't spent that last year at Oklahoma and gotten polished. And he was a Heisman finalist that year, which he never would have been, obviously, at Alabama. And that polish really helped him in the NFL. He always had the work ethic and stuff. So, whatever the reason, I don't get Auburn fans' vitriol about Bo Nix while he was there, and then people afterwards claiming him. Those same people claiming him with pride now that he has made it in the NFL.
I've always been a Bo Nix fan. He didn't have a lot to work with. He was running for his life on about every play.
It was not the right kind of offense. Luke's told us that. Yeah. I mean, Bo Nix running the RPO offense was like Bill Curry trying to force Tim Couch to run the option.
Remember that?
Up in Kentucky.
Sure. And when Bo Nix would pretty much tell his offensive coordinator to go stick it on the sidelines during the game, I thought, I like this kid.
I'm going to call what I want to call.
Yeah.
Which John did, but he never told the coach ahead of time that he
Who was that coach he got into it with, that coordinator? One of Malzahn's buddies that had been a coach somewhere. I mean, he might have been the head coach at Arkansas at one time.
Oh, Chad Morris. Yeah, Chad Morris.
Oh, SMU. I think it was at SMU, yeah.
Well, he was at Arkansas too.
Yeah.
But John made more hay out of the fact that he and Seth Williams talked sharply to each other one time on the sidelines.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Got to take a break. Or are we already taking a break?
Yeah, we're taking a break. We're ready. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're ready for Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider. He's going to join us here today instead of Thursday. So don't get out of whack. I know people think it's Thursday when they hear Rodney, but a day early. Rodney's got a commitment tomorrow morning, and he was nice enough to reschedule to today. Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. The freshest seafood direct from the Gulf, deliveries daily. So I'm telling you, this fish was swimming earlier this week. It's now in the display cases at 3750 Norman Bridge Road, the Destin Connection. Any and all type of seafood items you could think of, the freshest shrimp, oysters, and they can prepare it for you as well. Call ahead at 288-4272, and David will have your order ready for pickup. And what about lunch today? Go by. He'll fix you up that great grouper po' boy with those delicious sides. The Destin Connection Seafood Market, 3750 Norman Bridge Road.
Rodney, welcome in. Glad to have you along with us here on a Wednesday, and we are certainly appreciative of that. Thanks for the time.
No, I appreciate you guys adjusting the schedule.
Well, we have got to probably hit you, even though we've been flexible, we probably got to hit you with one of the questions that you've probably been tired of. The word comes out from Senior Bowl practice down in Mobile that Jalen Milroe is not really impressing with his accuracy and with his decision-making and all that. Those are reports. Who knows? He may light it up today and tomorrow and whenever. What's it going to take for Jalen Milroe to be an NFL quarterback, Rodney?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a lot of those things you mentioned. I mean, I think, obviously he has all the tools physically. He's got a really good arm. He's, extraordinarily athletic. We know all those things. I really think for Milroe, he just has to continue to work on, you mentioned decision-making, understanding defenses, reading defenses. He's never really probably going to be a pocket passer. So I would think that, as he continues to develop, if he can get into the right system with the right organization. And let me just give you an example. Jalen Hurts. And the reason I use Hurts is I don't really compare those two. I know a lot of people do in terms of, there's still some differences between them. But what I'm saying is, Jalen Hurts was fortunate enough to get into a situation where, first of all, he has enormous talent around him. So it's not all on him, like it's all on Mahomes or it's all on Josh Allen. Not saying those guys don't have a good supporting cast, but those guys can carry a team. You look at Philadelphia in that situation, and Hurts is a manager of a lot of great players. He just doesn't have to mess it up. And then it also helps him to be effective. With that said, I think if Milroe can get into the mindset of that's really what his strength is, you know, I think one thing is he went through college thinking he was Tom Brady, wanting to be a pocket passer. You know what I mean? And I understand wanting to develop in that area because that's certainly something he's going to have to do. But I do think that just looking at him, he's going to have to continue to hone all the skills we talked about and get into the right kind of system for himself.
You know, Rodney, we've known each other a long time. You've been on our program quite a bit over the years. And I've mentioned from time to time about reading between the lines. I'd like to get your thoughts on what you make out of this. I'll give you mine as well, and Barry too. Kalen DeBoer was at the Senior Bowl practice yesterday, and he was taking some questions and was being interviewed. And one of the statements he made was, there's a lot of good things already happening. It already feels a lot different internally as we turn the page to 2025 from the first team meeting, which was less than 2 weeks ago after our last bowl game. To me, that indicates that, you know, I learned my lesson in 24, maybe did some things that looking back on it, I should not have done, maybe played some favorites or, you know, maybe got into a situation where, you know, I just didn't have a full grasp on this program. But as of now, we're doing things my way and we've turned the page, and the feeling that I'm getting from it in this short period of time has been pretty positive. Well, what do you make of that statement?
No, I think I agree with you, and here's why. I think if you go back and you look at most first-year transitions, a lot of them, I should say, they're very similar. It's difficult. Just so many factors and so many things. And go back and look at when he took over, all the things that he had to handle. Okay, now consider this too. This is one of the first transitions that's taken place in the modern era. What I mean by that is NIL, portal, all these things. There's not really any history on that. So to go through these things and to manage all of the things that he had to manage, and consider replacing the greatest of all time, that everybody buys into that culture, right? Everybody bought into what Nick Saban was saying. With that said, too, I think DeBoer also inherited some people, some players, a group of players that maybe weren't as entrenched in the Saban mindset and culture that had been over the last several years. So he's coming in and he's got to do all the things that he has to do to manage, and then he's got to try to reel in all these players, you know, between the years, so to speak. You just can't do that in a year. There's no doubt about that. That's why I say, look, John, Barry, I'm going to be honest with you. Do people have a lot of doubts about, you know, what they watched after last year? Some of the preparation for some of those games? Absolutely. Do I have some concerns about what I saw? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair, that we can only go by what we see. But at the same time, I think you have to step back and say, look, we have to consider all these other factors, and let's see how he operates in year two. Let's see how he operates moving forward. And I think a lot of those things you said, reading between the lines, I would agree with.
Well, let's extend that point into another question, Rodney. I remember, and I'm sure you remember back in the day when Bear was there and even Perkins and other where you could jump into a station wagon in Tuscaloosa and go recruit and drive to Tuscumbia or Sheffield or Mobile or something, and you could could win championships that way. I can't. I'm looking on Twitter all the time. I'm seeing a picture of DeBoer or one of his assistant coaches in California or in New Jersey or in Texas all the time. To your point about to see how he operates in year two. For anybody who had any questions about his recruiting chops, I think he seems to be answering those. Am I right?
I think they've done an outstanding job, you know, in this transition year that they had, the recruiting class that they held together last year, luring Ryan Williams back in, the way they've managed the portal. And then again, this class you're talking about that's, you know, number 2 or 3, whatever. And now as they continue to move forward recruiting in the 2026 class, yes. I mean, they have a presence all over the country, nationwide. Now, I guess the one question is people say, well, what about the state of Alabama? Because they
Right.
didn't sign any of the top 10 last year. There were probably a couple of guys in that top 10 that they would have loved to have had, obviously. Neem Alford, they would have loved to have had Derek Smith. And personally, I don't think they recruited some of the other guys really hard. There was a couple of defensive linemen that I think Auburn got that I felt like Alabama should have probably recruited more. But, you know, whatever. I think that now moving forward, they're making an emphasis on, you know, the state of Alabama. They want to get the top players that they feel fit their system. So I think that's the real key, like in this class. But overall, yes, Barry, I would agree with you that they've done a really, really good job so far, I think, in that regard.
Watch, that leads me to pinpoint one area that we have definitely discussed with you for a couple of years. Are you feeling better about how they are recruiting defensive linemen?
They're offering a lot here early. You know, some guys have popped up in state, like the kid at Bessemer City, Emmanuel Ruffin, who kind of, you know, starting to draw a lot of offers actually. You know, and there's some other kids in the state, and then of course they're recruiting guys around the country that they've offered that are defensive linemen. You know, the question is, these are hot commodities, as you know. To be able to get these big interior defensive linemen, you have to have them, and so they're always recruiting battles. The question is, can they win those battles? They're winning those battles at most other positions. I mean, not all of them, but their fair share, obviously. I mean, you look in the secondary, I think they've done a fantastic job. They've got some really good outside backers that they've recruited. They've got some good inside backers they recruited this year, this past class. You know, offensive linemen, they've done well. You know, wide receivers, quarterbacks, I mean, running backs. So they've done really well. And it's not that they haven't gotten some pretty decent players on the defensive line. I just think they need more of them. And I think they need to be in the battles with the really big defensive linemen. I'm talking about the highly touted, you know, not just because of their reputation, but because of their potential. You know, the Georgias, the Texas, Ohio State. Why isn't Alabama in the mix with a lot of those guys? Why haven't they been significantly in the mix with those guys? I think you have to be able to get those level defensive linemen to be able to be competitive up front.
Do you feel Alabama is competitive in the NIL? From what you know, I'm not asking for a number. We hear Magic Johnson saying that, man, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to contribute whatever it takes to Michigan State's NIL to get a championship. Ohio State, Michigan, same way. Is, in your estimation, is Alabama competitive with those, or is there some work to be done, and how much?
Well, you know, again, I want to sit here and tell you that I don't have numbers in front of me.
Understand.
But I will say this. It's been something that I've been really kind of digging at and, you know, trying to find out exactly where does this stand? Is it as bad as some people try to suggest? This narrative got out there very early when this NIL started, that Alabama was this poor school, university, that doesn't have any money. Nobody in the state has any money. Nobody's going to contribute to it, and all of these things. It's just not true. Let me say this. No, there's not Texas billionaires, oil billionaires running around every street corner. I get that. But here's the thing. Alabama, I understand, has donors in all 50 states now. I mean, it's continuing to grow. It's very competitive. You don't keep your roster intact like Alabama has if you don't have NIL. You don't recruit the last year, actually, when they included the portal, Alabama had the number 1 class. So if you want to say number 1 last year, number 2, 3 this year, you don't recruit on the level that they're recruiting in basketball. Nate Oates has gotten some big time players. He went up and challenged North Carolina and got Jaron Stevenson and got Omari right out from under their noses. And they were offering big deals. I'm not saying Alabama necessarily met those offers, but they paid what they offered, what was, they felt the value was.
Right.
And they got those guys. So here's what I'm saying too. I think that, yes, in short, Alabama is competitive, and they're continuing to, as you said, build on that too. I don't, people running around thinking that Alabama's about to collapse. I don't believe that.
I think where some of the panic set in, Rodney, and we talked about it, when they saw Caleb Downs all over the field for Ohio State, and they heard Herb Street just gushing about him, play after play. I mean, I had some people ask me, why couldn't Alabama afford that guy? Why could they not pay him what he wanted to stay in Tuscaloosa? I don't know if that was the whole reason he left. I know he was close to Saban, and when Saban left, maybe he wanted to explore his options. But did Alabama, to your knowledge, did they even try to counter any offer that Ohio State made to keep him?
My understanding is Alabama did make him an offer to stay, certainly. I think what it is, there was a lot of uncertainty at that time. In when you're looking at it from his perspective, I think and I don't think it was all Caleb. I mean, I don't have the details. I wasn't in the room, but I don't think it was all Caleb. I mean, I think, his dad and, certainly his family had a lot of influence on that. And if I'm not mistaken, John and Barry, as I recall, so many things go under the bridge, but I think his dad was also really close to one of the Ohio State assistant coaches. That his dad's a coach, and they have a connection. I think that probably helped. And listen, let me say this: these coaches, they have their ways of staying in touch. Justice Haynes, he's recruited all season. Justice Haynes at Alabama, he was recruited all this last season. Ohio State was recruiting him from August, and he ends up at Michigan. But I mean, they stay in touch. They let them know, hey, we're going to have an offer for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not saying that that's what Ohio State did with Downs. I mean, but you would think that certainly there was some sort of a communication going on with all that. So what happened was when Saban steps down, all of a sudden, that's when the shark goes in for the kill, right? And I think that's probably what happened. With Downs and yeah, money probably played a part of that, but I think he came here to play for Saban, and I think that uncertainty there, kind of in his mind, helped him, and I think it also opened up a door for those encouraging him to go to kind of say, hey, you need to do it.
And gosh, that kind of stuff hurts the team. I'm not talking about the player necessarily, but my imagination's running wild when you point out, and I believe you wholeheartedly, that Justice Haynes was being recruited all season long. I can just imagine. My imagination tells me that, maybe he gets a phone call from somebody with some Michigan connections who says, man, they are not giving you the rock enough, man. You come here, during the year. And I mean, how are you supposed to stay focused and be team oriented and unselfish when you got everybody telling you, man, you can come here, and I'm telling you, you'll get 25 touches a game.
How do you think Saban felt about that?
God,
don't you know his job's difficult enough, and the way he is, or the way he was as a coach, he's micromanaging everything. And then now he's got to deal with players at another school calling his players and saying, hey, man, I was talking to coach, and man, we'd really love you to have you here at Michigan, or this happens.
Sure.
Trust me. And listen, it's a two-way street. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Alabama doesn't do it, or that players at Alabama or somebody doesn't do that. There's some sort of connections. I mean, that's the way these teams are surviving right now. I mean, because there's no real boundaries in what they can do. And I'm not saying that you can ever really totally get it fixed, but I do think that they've got to do something, or they're hopefully trying to do something to get this in a way where, players are at least bound to a school, and school's bound to them for a period of time. And that if there's a rule that, hey, guess what? If you cross this line and you're found out, kind of like a probation. I mean, like the NCAA. I don't know if the NCAA is ever going to have any teeth anymore, but they've got to have somebody dishing out some rules.
What's the status on Ryan Grubb?
What'd you think about that quote yesterday? I mean,
just let the process run its course.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I mean, I don't know how to read that. I mean, other than to say this, I mean, obviously he didn't shut the door on anything. He could have easily said, look, guys, we've got a full staff, and that's just kind of the way it is. But he didn't say that. He said we're going to let his process run. Does that mean that maybe he's got something contractually with Seattle that makes it advantageous for him to wait till a certain day? Maybe there's something in the contract that he has to wait till February the 10th or some other day that his first year's up and he fully gets all his compensation. I don't know what all it is. I mean, I'm not a contract expert. But I mean, there are things like that. Or could it be that he just wants to evaluate other NFL options? I really don't know exactly what it is. But it's obvious that there's something there. And I felt like listening to DeBoer, listening to what he said, that there was an opportunity available at Alabama. If the process unfolds and works out that Grubb's wants to come or whatever. That's the way I took it. I don't know. Did you guys take it differently than that?
No. That's about how I took it. I mean,
the
window is still open.
I think it was obvious.
Yeah, I mean, if Ryan Grubb wants to come to Tuscaloosa, I think Kalen DeBoer is going to find a place for him.
That's exactly you said it a lot more succinctly than I did, but that's pretty clear. I mean, to me, I mean, I don't know what that position will be. I mean, would that mean that Nick Sheridan would become a co-OC, or what would that mean? Would that mean would he come as just a off the field? I don't want to say analyst. I guess that's what it would be. But anyway, who knows? Who knows exactly what that would be? But I will say this is just me. If you've got a chance to upgrade your staff by bringing in a Ryan Grubb, then I think you need to do everything you can do to make it happen.
Yeah, and you can call him, you can call him the chief cafeteria worker or whatever, but you got to have him on that staff.
Well, John and Barry, this is a sense of urgency. I think you've got to have a sense of urgency. And I think, too, that it's important to show the fan base, the people, to calm people, to show them, hey, we got a sense of urgency. I know people say, well, stay the course. I believe in my guys and all that. That's all great and dandy. But, that really puts, to me, that means you better go out there next year and show some market improvement. I mean, I think you can sell it a lot easier to say, okay, we've upgraded our staff, and you kind of make people, you give them some confidence. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You give them some confidence. And so we'll see.
And let's face it, Rodney, Barry and I were looking at it earlier this week based on some of these way too early top 25 polls that have come out. Alabama's got a lot of teams on their schedule that are ranked in that poll.
Yeah.
Year two under DeBoer is, it's not going to be a cakewalk. I mean, some really good league games. Say what you will about Florida State. You're playing them on the road to open up year two. You don't need to go down there and lay an egg after what happened in your bowl game. And then you got a Wisconsin team coming in that, from what I'm understanding, should be improved next year as well. So, yeah, I mean, getting your house in order before late August rolls around is going to be very important.
No doubt. I mean, look, I'm like you. I think that that Florida State game is really huge to open the season. I mean, you go down there and lose that one. Whoa. That would put you behind the 8 ball immediately. So, and again, I'm like you. I think Florida State's going to be improved. I mean, they're bringing in Gus Malzahn. It's going to be a real challenge. They'll be better offensively for sure. Yeah. They got the Castellanos kid, the quarterback that transferred from Boston College. It's really good. Probably a really good fit for Malzahn, I would think. But anyway, I say all that to say, yes, you look at that schedule. You've got Wisconsin coming here, and I don't have it in front of me, but at the end of the month, you have to go to Georgia. And, there's other teams that Tennessee obviously comes here. LSU comes here. You have to go to Auburn. And,
Got to go to
Auburn's
Missouri.
Missouri. Yeah, you got to go to Missouri. I mean, you're under the gun, but then again, so are these teams. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Georgia. I mean, there's the expectations there. I don't know about their quarterback situation. I mean, I didn't see anything in Gunnar Stockton that led me to believe, he's their answer. But regardless, all these other teams have got some issues. So it's going to be, it'll be interesting, but it is a tough schedule. Yes.
Yes, no question about it. It's such a busy time with, junior days and guys reclassifying and recruiting, and of course, a whole lot of other stuff. Spring practices coming up. TiderInsider.com has a lot of information and hosts a lot of conversation. Rodney, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, Barry. First of all, let me say you're right about Junior Day coming up. We got a list. We're going to, organize it all and put it all out. And just a quick note, I got someone really close to maybe the best tight end in the country. He's out of California, modern day, Mark Bowman. He was a 2027 kid. You said reclassifying. He's reclassifying to 2026. And a couple of days ago, he's met with Coach DeBoer, and he's going to make an official visit. So you talking about recruiting nationwide, top players, that's one that could be, hey, he's a big time player. So we'll have that and more later on today. But it's TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card, or if you prefer, there is an address there to send a check. Gives you all our premium information, but also our community of Alabama fans, the All Sports Forum there. It's constant basketball, football, whatever it is, coaching searches, Alabama in the NFL, whatever. It's nonstop on TiderInsider.com.
It is great information, and can be entertaining as well, particularly on the message boards. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Rodney, thanks for switching your schedule with us this week. We'll touch base with you next Thursday as normal, but have a great week. Thank you as always, my friend.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Y'all take care.
You too. Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. You want to know why so many great restaurants around the river region get the freshest seafood from the Destin Connection? Well, I just told you, because it's the freshest. So when you're out dining out and you're at one of the nice places around town, odds are that came from the Destin Connection Seafood Market. You can get it as well. Go by and see them, 3750 Norman Bridge Road, or call ahead, 288-4272. Your order will be ready for pickup. And don't forget, great po' boys, great seafood dinners. They'll cook it up for you as well. Take it right out of the cases, and they'll cook it up to your order. Call ahead. It'll be ready for pickup. 288-4272, the Destin Connection Seafood Market.
As the stopwatches on our chat line have pointed out, 27 minutes.
I had one more question, but I just said, we're going to let it go. We'll just let it go. And
I've been dealing with John and Rodney and their overages, and it's not, there's nothing wrong with it, but we got to catch up. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. We can catch up later.
Oh, where? I guess we're not catching up. Where are we?
Yeah.
Here we go. Robbie, Barry, Robbie is not a fan of Ryan Grubb. He has hit the chat room. He's up. Says, forget about it. Don't do it.
I love this when you can tell when Robbie is up. Woke up about 8 o'clock, got up, jammed his ball cap on, a little bacon, maybe some toast. Boom, Longshore and McKnight, as every good American should do. And he gets on the chat line, he says, Nick Sheridan needs another year to prove himself without Milroe, but he needs to show marked improvement. Then he says hiring Ryan Grubb would be a panic move. His offense didn't do well with Seattle last year, 14th in total offense, 18th in scoring offense with a running back who was hurt. And he says, I think we need to talk more about Bama and SEC basketball. The football season is 7 months away. And then he closes out the little, I guess it's a quinella. There is no opening on the Bama coaching staff.
Well, they might make one.
Yeah, well, like I said, you can call him the head groundskeeper and say we're hiring him as the groundskeeper. But if you have a chance to get him on the staff, I gotta imagine DeBoer wants him on the staff.
Back in the day, Gene Stallings was the golf coach. I mean, they'll make room for you if you need them. I mean, so not worried about that. I mean, I'm not so worried about what Ryan Grubb did in the NFL. There again, what type of personnel did he have? Is that, is it a fair statement to say, oh, he was terrible, their offense, they couldn't run the ball? Well, what was their personnel like? He was pretty effective when he was coaching in college.
Surely was.
With some really good athletes. So I think you need to base it a little bit on what he did as a college coach. As far as basketball, Robbie, I'm all in. I think it's a huge game for Alabama tonight, particularly with what happened Saturday against an LSU team that they were an 18.5-point favorite against, and they were lucky to win the game. And they benched one of their top players the entire second half. So I think it'll be interesting to see, was practice like we heard it was earlier this week, very physical, defensive orientated. We're going to see that tonight in Starkville. Understand this is a pick'em game tonight. Alabama and Ole Miss at a pick'em. Here again, they say it's tough to win on the road in the SEC. We're going to find out just how well practice went this week.
Yeah. Oh, Mark Sears had a phenomenal practice, and everything's great. Mississippi State's pretty doggone good, particularly at home. Our boy Bart Heisch is going to be front and center for that one. 8:00 tonight. Mississippi State 16-4, Alabama 17-3. Even Chris the Bammer says Bammer loses tonight. I don't know. It's one of those games, it's just one of those sandwich games, I guess.
It's kind of a late tip, 8:00.
Yeah.
And you got to bus over to Starkville and go through Gordo and some of these other communities in West Alabama.
Yeah.
The Golden Triangle when you get to into Mississippi. So it's not the greatest trip out there. And, you got to be motivated.
Wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with going through Gordo, Garden Spot of West Alabama. Auburn and LSU, 6:00 in Baton Rouge. SEC Network, I think Auburn's winning streak is 11 games now. They're 18-1. Although Robbie did point out that we need to talk more about Bama and SEC basketball. Robbie, we can talk about Auburn basketball, right?
We can.
Is that good?
That?
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Auburn is an 11.5-point favorite over LSU. Janai Broom, he won SEC Player of the Week, even though he only played one game. Go figure.
Man, that's impressive.
Now, this from Michael Bronner. Like I said, I like him. Yeah. He's a senior analyst and contributing writer for Yellowhammer News.
Yep.
A little bit of an Alabama slant, but he's talking at yellowhammernews.com about basketball ticket prices. While all of the success is phenomenal for basketball in the state, it's not so good for fans who want to buy a ticket to see the Iron Bowl of basketball matchups. There have been a lot of people buying tickets to those games. They're called season tickets. Place will be filled, both places. According to prices through TickPick and SeatGeek, Tide and Tiger fans who want to see the game a few weeks from now in Coleman Coliseum, February 15th, cannot get into the building for less than $300.
Whoa, $300.
A truly mind-boggling price for a basketball game in the Yellowhammer State. Again, John is kicking himself for not coming up with a business plan to buy, tickets and all of that. He was talking about $100 for an Iron Bowl. 30 years ago, but $100 for an Iron Bowl, $300 for Iron Bowl in the hardwood. He writes this. It's a little subtle jab, Michael. I see you working. Auburn has been also dealing with ticket price issues for several years now due to limited capacity at Neville Arena.
I see. Should have built the place bigger.
Ticket price issues? They haven't been having many because they've sold out every dadgum seat for forever now. Fans who want to attend the final game of the regular season for both teams, yep, Auburn and Alabama play in Auburn to end the regular year, March the 8th. You'll not be able to get a ticket for that game for less than $600.
So where are those tickets coming from? Is that all secondary market tickets? Because these guys that buy these season ticket packages, they're not paying $600 a seat.
No. But they and hopefully those Auburn fans who are getting ready, for that Alabama game certainly are not thinking about letting their tickets go through TickPick or SeatGeek or any of that to go to an Alabama fan. I mean, you got to keep it in the family, right? I don't think it's a problem.
I mean, he says, look, if I'm selling my ticket for $600, $6,000, I don't care who you cheer for.
Yeah.
That's money in my pocket. That's
right.
kind of like, Barry, same philosophy. Look, if you're not going to cover the spread, I hope you lose the game. It's all about me. How much am I going to profit from this? Oh, you can't sell it to an Alabama fan. Watch me.
I could just see John like on Facebook or something like that on the, Facebook Marketplace. John puts, 2 tickets to Auburn, Alabama men's basketball at Neville Arena, March 28th. Yeah, I'm interested. What are you asking? $600 for the pair. Man, that sounds great. Now, I'm an Alabama fan. John's like,
so?
Well, what the heck has that got to do with anything? You got the $600 or don't you? Yeah. Anyway,
I don't care you root for. You know whose problem that is? The guy you're sitting next to.
That's right.
He's going to have to deal with that.
And you know who the guy he's sitting next to is? He's not John.
No.
What
is it my responsibility to make that guy happy or me?
My responsibility. I'm in charge of my own happiness.
Yeah, I mean, just because this guy shows up and he looks over and goes, wait a minute, who's this Bammer sitting next to me? Well,
that Longshore, he did it again.
Whatever. It's just the way it is. But I mean, these secondary tickets. I mean, look, I have a hard time believing that if Greg Byrne or John Cohen came out with a letter, well, all you great basketball supporters, we're just letting you know that we're jacking up the season ticket package, and every seat that you have is now going to be $600 a seat. You're talking about mass exodus. Not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Now, you get it on the secondary market, and the teams are hot, and you get a perfect storm, and you can go out there and take advantage of people that aren't season ticket holders. Hey, it's capitalism. That's business.
I wouldn't call it taking advantage of or exploiting. It's the American system of laissez-faire.
It's kind of like, what do you mean you got a 3-night minimum? I only need to be there one night. Too bad. You're paying for 3 nights, whether you like it or not.
Now, excuse me, sir, if you can step aside, the gentleman behind you, I'd like to serve him. 3 nights, I'll take it. What's the price? Got it. Done. That's the case. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
I think we are.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe son will know what's going on there. But I will say this. I've been wanting to get to this for a while. Way too early bowl bracket. We talked about the way too early top 25 polls that came out last week. And the Sporting News came together with they kind of took a consensus of all the preseason polls that had come out and came up with, where these programs actually would fall when you put them all together, shook them all about, and put your left foot in and all that kind of stuff, as we talked about.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So I saw this, Barry, and I thought that this was very interesting, particularly if you're a Bama fan. And it was on ESPN Plus that you turned me on 2 years ago.
Right.
And it's about one of their great college football writers, Bill Connolly.
Oh, I like him.
He writes a lot of stuff for them and, kind of goes into, some of the projections and based on some polls and whatnot and this, that, and the other. But I thought this was interesting. And as I got down a little deeper into the article, he starts talking about some of the teams that could get in for the college football playoff for the 2025 season, which, of course, is the one coming up. And he lays out the matchups, the possible for, how these things might play out. He's got Georgia winning the SEC, Penn State winning the Big Ten, Utah winning the Big 12, and Louisville winning the ACC. So that would be your top 4 seeds.
Yes.
Then first round matchups. Number 12 seed Boise State at number 5 seed Alabama.
He writes a personal dream matchup for the 2009 playoff that we never got, which I believe was the year that Boise State beat Oklahoma. And he said, man, that would have been great after Alabama beat whoever, Texas, that they could play again. Number 12, Boise State at number 5, Alabama. Bama fans, would you pay on the secondary market $600 to watch that one? You might not pay it, or $300 at Coleman Coliseum to watch Auburn, Alabama basketball. Would you pay $300 to watch Boise State and Alabama in round 1 at home of a college football playoff game? I don't know.
I don't. But what about this one? Is North Carolina going to finally find a defense? I mean, I know it's just the Belichick factor's got the Tar Heels as an 11 seed playing at Texas.
He says, what was I supposed to do? Not set up Belichick versus Manning? I get that. He's, North Carolina is not going to be in the college football playoff. I think Belichick's a phenomenal coach, but no, he's just dealing with it from his heart. And who knows? Maybe, I didn't really understand Chizik being the defensive coordinator. Did you realize that the last 3 head football coaches at Auburn, John, the last 3 head football coaches are now coordinators elsewhere or were coordinators elsewhere? Chizik didn't get another head coaching job.
No.
He was the defensive coordinator a couple of times, I think, at North Carolina. Brian Harsin, I think, is now the offensive coordinator at Cal. And Gus Malzahn is the offensive coordinator at Florida State. Those are the last 3 coaches at Auburn. And they're assistant coaches now.
And where are they all 3? Let's run this. Where are they all?
Chizik, who knows? Chizik, I think he's done. He was the defensive coordinator, I think, in a couple of different iterations at North Carolina. Malzahn's the offensive coordinator at Florida State. And Brian Harsin's the offensive coordinator at Cal right now. It's not exactly. Hey, come to Auburn and you can be a coordinator later. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
what really, in this, LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, I get all that. Is Alabama really a playoff team next year? And I mean, I can see them making the playoff. But I certainly can see them not making it. I don't think they're a shoo-in, and particularly what we saw last year, and we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Got a pretty good idea, but really haven't seen him in a lot of critical game situations.
Yeah, well, the other first-round games, number 10, LSU at Notre Dame, number 7. He says, what was I supposed to do? Not set up Brian Kelly versus Notre Dame. And then number 9, Ohio State at number 8, Michigan, to play again immediately after they've already played to end the season.
Uh-huh.
So you got for what that? you've got 4 SEC teams that would be in that mock playoff: Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and LSU.
Yeah.
Is Alabama one of the best 4 teams in the SEC? Where is Ole Miss? People have loved on Florida. What about Tennessee? Do we hate Tennessee again? Makes you wonder.
I mean,
and he's got actually playing on along here with Bill Connolly of ESPN Plus. He's got Alabama in the semifinals.
Playing Georgia
in the Peach Bowl. Well, they ain't going to win that, so it'll be Penn State and Georgia.
There again, we talked about it. Got to go to Athens. Got a revenge game. When have you ever heard this? Against Vanderbilt. It's at home. At least they got the doors in Tuscaloosa. Got to go to a red-hot South Carolina. People loving the Gamecocks in these preseason polls. Tennessee comes to Tuscaloosa, who we all know beat them last year in Knoxville. Got to go to Missouri. Missouri's kind of hot and cold. I mean, one week they look great. The next week they look terrible. I just don't know what to think about Missouri. Even though I do like their coach, he's really good at media days. He's kind of taken over for Spurrier in that role. LSU comes to town. So, okay, you got Tennessee and LSU at home, but they're still going to be tough outs. You got Oklahoma at home, who there's a term I want to use, but I better not in that game. And then, of course, Barry, playing at Jordan-Hare, a place that Kalen DeBoer, to my knowledge, has never set foot in. And he's going to get over there and experience. If I was Kalen DeBoer, Barry, I think I'd try to somehow, some way get into the Auburn-Alabama game in Neville Arena coming up this season, so he can get a little taste of what Jordan-Hare is going to be like in late November of this year. Because you roll in there for the first time, you might not know what you're up against.
Find a day when Auburn's playing at home, if it exists, and Alabama is off. Get yourself some big aviator glasses from CVS, big floppy hat, and have somebody stitch an AU on the front, fake mustache, and just sit in the stands at Jordan-Hare Stadium, just so you can kind of acquaint yourself with the voodoo.
Yeah. All right. Everything good at network control. We got some bugs worked out so we can go to that commercial break. And I believe when we come back, I know, Chris, you're ready. We'll spin the Victorland 777 topic wheel when we return.
Yep. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Hey, folks, let's start 2025 off on the right foot at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where you can get a 2024 Ford Bronco up to $10,000 off MSRP as low as $34,990. What about the popular Ford Escape? Well, you can get one as low as $24,990 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. The Ford Explorer is what started the SUV craze back in the early 80s, and it's still going strong today. You can save up to $8,000 off MSRP as low as $33,990 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. But I know what you're asking me. John, what about the popular F-150, America's best-selling pickup for over 50 years in a row? Well, you can get a 2024 F-150 Crew Cab at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP, plus no payments for 90 days. And they've got plenty to choose from. I've never seen as many cars and trucks on the ground at Stivers as they've got there today. Go by and see for yourself. 4000 Eastern Boulevard, Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars and trucks.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. About 11 minutes to the top of the hour on this Wednesday. Longshore and McKnight in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Tell your friends, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We really appreciate it. And, of course, you can check us out on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. We are there, yellowhammernews.com, Facebook, all over the place. Just type in and search Longshore and McKnight. You will find us. Hey, tomorrow we're out at the Montgomery Regional Airport, getting better the more you use it, telling you all about the great news and what's offered there at MGM. I've seen a lot of good promotional stuff about the airport over the last couple of weeks and get some great feedback, Barry, from our viewers and our listeners about just how convenient it is. And they're taking our advice and saying, hey, you know what, guys, you're right. I mean, it's a great travel experience. I just used it a couple of weeks ago, heading up to D.C. in a couple of weeks as well, right out of MGM. You can't beat it. We'll be there tomorrow. And then on Friday, I believe we're up in Prattville at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where Price sells cars and trucks. We'll tell you more about that as well. But I believe the Victoryland 777 topic wheel is ready to go.
I'm ready as well.
Man, look at all those topics.
Ready to go.
Jeez, wow. Spinner. Let's go for it. Man, that's a lot of topics. Let's see where it goes today. Well, lands on Troy. I just thought we'd just go with Troy. Not T-Roy, not Power T, not the car, not the colors. We'll just go straight up Troy today.
There you go. Couple more home games for the Troy men's basketball team. We had Trojan Talk a day late yesterday because of the makeup of the snow day game on Monday we talked about against Southern Miss. Thursday, that's tomorrow, 6 o'clock, men's basketball versus Georgia Southern at Trojan Arena. It's Troy right now is tied for second in the league, a game out of first. The halftime paper toss, get this, the halftime paper airplane toss tomorrow. It's always fun because you get to make your paper airplane, write your name on it. They've got a big mat in the middle of the floor. It's all brought to you by the Montgomery Regional Airport.
Yeah, certainly it is.
And if your airplane that you toss from wherever in the stands hits inside, it's not the closest, it's the one that hits inside the little bullseye they've got set up at midcourt, free airfare. I think it's a travel voucher to anywhere that you can fly, which is pretty much anywhere. Closest, well, they do say no. The closest paper airplane will win the prize.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's always a lot of fun. Montgomery Regional Airport, the official airport of Longshore and McKnight, and the official airport of Troy Athletics.
Sure.
So,
do you make your own airplane, or are the airplanes provided?
You got to paper airplanes are available at the entrance to enter into the contest, and I'm pretty sure they have them printed out to where your little folding points and everything. Here's a couple of pro tips from me, because believe me, every time they do this, and it's always really popular, everybody would love to win free airfare from the Montgomery Regional Airport. Somebody always hits me in the head with one. I'm at midcourt and it'll always stick in my hair.
Ouch.
And it's one of the students sitting behind me. One of them will reach over and pick it out of my hair. Oh yeah, thanks and everything. But here's the pro tip that they print out. If you want to make like a little jet airplane, don't go by those. Don't go by the little dotted lines. Make your own. Do your own thing. What you want is big wings. You don't want the little jet airplane. Mm-hmm. You want big wings on that. So anyway, that starts 6 o'clock tomorrow night, the halftime paper airplane toss presented by Montgomery Regional Airport. Then on Saturday, 3:33 versus ULM is the start time in Trojan Arena. A lot of things going on there. 2-for-1 tickets for that one. Buy one, get one free. All the tickets available for tomorrow and Saturday at TroyTrojans.com/tickets.
Outstanding. Wow. Sounds fantastic. All right. Good times there in Troy. All right. Let's get that wheel up and spinner again and see what else we got going on.
Oh, I'm just waiting for the one called Gimmick. I just saw that. Here we go.
Whoa,
please stay. Please stay. Come on. Yeah.
Wow. That might have been our first time, but we're going with Gimmick. All right. I looked at it again, Barry, and we got countdown on there twice. I was wondering what was going on. I looked at it again. Maybe I need to give it another chance. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. But this golf thing I saw Monday night with Rory and Tiger and a couple other guys I didn't really know much about, that's not for me. Maybe young people want it. I hate to sound like that grumpy old man, but that ain't me. I have no interest in that. Very gimmicky.
It's like you're taking a really, really good experience, getting out, sniffing the azaleas, sunshine, smell of fresh cut grass, birds singing, Bud Light in your hand, pimento cheese or egg salad sandwich, watching the best craftsmen in the world ply their trade.
That's right.
No. Let's bring it inside. Let's make it look like the set for David Letterman. Let's put some stands over here. Let's get some sort of pneumatic green out there and a big TV screen. John, it's taken away the things that make golf good.
You're right.
Everything about it.
The birds singing, the sunshine, a nice breeze, a Bud Light. And then when you're 3 holes away from the next comfort station, if you're playing real golf, no big deal. Just go behind that big oak tree.
That's
you
right.
Can't do that in this type of golf.
No, they'll throw you out big as day. I'll say,
can you smoke a cigar in there? I doubt it. You can smoke a cigar out on the golf course. Don't think you can do it in inside playing inside golf.
The sound of the birds singing, the wind blowing through the pines. If you're playing with Longshore, the keys jangling on your takeaway from of your putter face. It's you're taking an absolutely fun, diverting afternoon of light exercise and taking everything out of it that makes it good. I
don't get it.
The only thing that retains is that you can bet. That's it.
Well, that's the first thing that when somebody was texting me about it, I said, is there a gambling element to this? Because that's the only way it's going to keep me interested, kind of like real golf. I mean, I will say those are the comparisons there, Barry, because I'm not very interested playing golf for funsies. Like, hey, let's go walk a few holes today. What do you mean? Are we do anything else besides walking? Any action on this this little 9-hole quick match?
Because if I wanted to go take a walk, I could take a walk. If we got to do something here, let's do something here.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm carrying my bag, I got to have a little action in on it. So I'm out. I just don't find myself watching whatever it's called, whatever the golf league or something.
Something.
I'm out on that. All right, what's next, Gern? Spin the wheel. And she comes up. Tonight's nets. That's another word for hoops. Now,
hardwood.
We actually had some games last night, but they did not feature Auburn or Alabama. But we did have 3 games last night. And wow, what's happened with Tennessee? At home losing to Kentucky.
Well, they were a dog in that game, and most of the reason why was because their All-American guard Zakai Ziegler hurt his knee in the game before and didn't play. And so, Kentucky wins that game in Knoxville. Tonight, Texas is at number 23 Ole Miss at 8 o'clock, ESPN2. That's the only game that is not on the SEC network. The other 2 involve Auburn and Alabama, and it's an SEC network doubleheader. Number 1, Auburn is at LSU, 6 o'clock, SEC Network. Auburn favored by 11.5. Number 4, Alabama, also is on the road. They're at number 14, Mississippi State. Immediately, Well, I say immediately. Why in the world do they still schedule basketball games 2 hours apart?
Yeah.
Auburn LSU plays at 6. You'll get to watch every play of that one. Alabama Mississippi State begins at 8. Guaranteed you'll miss at least the first 5 minutes of that one
I'm
because
with
they
you.
don't schedule the game.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an SEC Network alternate channel or put it on ESPN News or whatever, but you can count on Bama, Mississippi State. Not if it starts at 8, you won't see the first part of it. Could be delayed slightly. Mississippi State is a 1.5-point favorite in this game tonight. At the current moment, they're 10 spots higher in the poll than Alabama. And granted, I know they're playing at home, but the number 4 team in America is an underdog tonight.
Tamika Sears ain't going to be happy, John. He ain't going to be happy at all. He better play at least 32 minutes in that game. Otherwise, she's going to be back on social media.
Yeah, so that's going to be that's going to be an interesting game tonight, and it's a late one. So just get ready.
Yeah,
it is
88 foul shots. You know the whole deal.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. All right, we're going to carry over some of our Victorland 777 topic wheel for tomorrow. One of the categories I'm really looking forward to it landing on. I think John from Wetumpka will be interested in it as well, but we'll save that for tomorrow along with some of the other topics that we have on the wheel. As I mentioned, we're at the Montgomery Regional Airport tomorrow broadcasting the program. If you're out flying tomorrow, if you have a trip, come by and say hello to us. We love our viewers and listeners coming by and waving and saying hello while we're out there. And we'll be telling you all about the good stuff going on out at MGM and recapping both Auburn and Alabama's games that they have tonight. And then, of course, looking ahead to Saturday, some big matchups for the Tide and the Tigers on Saturday as well.
Jason Caldwell will join us tomorrow. Our thanks to CJ Duncan today. Love that guy. Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider as well. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.